1, 0, showtime. Welcome to my circus, which I generally refer to as Law and Disorder. As your host, Ken Goldberg, I want to welcome you to tonight's version. Tonight, in fact, specifically, is May 22nd, 2021. It is 6 p.m. where I'm sitting. Where you're sitting, how would I know what time it is? Why are you bothering me with stuff like that? Let's see. Are we broadcasting? Oh, yeah, we are. Okay, just checking. So, welcome to all, one and all. I want you to know tonight's show is free to everybody. No charge, no minimum. Come on in. I got an international array of stars. I got a bevy of beautiful babes. No cover charge, no minimum. Come on in, relax, take a load off. You're going to enjoy this. I know you're going to enjoy this because if you deign to turn on my podcast on a Saturday night, you're bored to tears, and I'm the solution. I'm going to try to take you out of your boring life for a short period, 5 minutes. I'm going to rocket you into another dimension. Well, thank you, Joan and Scott and Rachel. Thank you. A little Asian smoking jacket, don't you think? It's dashing. By the way, I've had this for like a century. I don't know. It's been tied up in a closet somewhere. I forgot I even had it. So my brother-in-law, who's twice my size, gave me a robe, which I have now passed on to Ricky. And then, hi, Debbie. And then I took this out to use as a robe. But I don't know that it's going to work as a robe. But as a smoking jacket, if only I were a smoker, I think this would be superb. Thank you. Please, no applause, just throw money. All right. Tonight, Saturday night, I'm excited. You should be excited. Why am I excited? Okay. 10:15 last night, Plain Lands, Love Field. It's nobody other than Ricky. Little Ricky. You've seen pictures of him when he was 8, 9 years old. Little mother. Okay? He's grown a little bit. In fact, I would say he's oversized now. There he is. That's him.
Hello, everybody.
He arrived by plane. Isn't that amazing? So he's here. He's near. He's queer. But he's going to go to Ross in a moment. So, let's all wave to him.
Take this off, man.
I'm going to take it off. It's hot, for one thing. Why do you say take it off?
You look like
He thinks I look like Hugh Hefner. Which Scott said the same thing. He said, hey, F. Dashing. Thank you, Rachel. And Debbie, I don't intend to look classy for very long, and I'm going to tell you why. The real truth. Not because Ricky said take it off. Take it off because this thing is hot. It is not breathing, and it is about 80 degrees in this room anyways, because I have the back door open. It's really humid in this house right now. I've got the air conditioning turned off. It's really warm in here, and this is not helping. But I didn't want to wear the same old. I wanted to make this special. After all, it is Saturday night, isn't it? Debbie said hi, Ricky. Rachel said hi, Ricky. Scott said hi, Ricky.
Hello, everybody. All right, I'm out.
All right, man.
How do I close the mouth?
You hit one of the buttons on the mirror, or you can hit the pad as you walk out the door.
On the Prius?
No, there's a pad on the garage. He's going to go to Ross. Why does somebody come 1,000 miles from their home where they have Ross's and say he's here in Dallas? He's going to go to Ross. You can do that in Chicago. I don't get it. Doesn't matter. What he did do that's extraordinary is he focused on the ceiling of my garage, which about 5 years ago, part of it came down. The plasterboard came down. Not sure why. It probably was never put up correctly. So I had it torn down, this portion of the garage, and I left it down because I wanted to see if it was a water leak or something. It would be easier to detect. There's no water leak. Years later, I'm used to it. I don't even notice it. Every time Ricky's here, he's like, we need to fix that. Well, whatever. So I got up this morning at 4:30 a.m., headed out on the bicycle. And by the way, it was just this light mist of water when I first left the house. By the time I got to Paul's house, it was a little drizzly. By the time we got up to about 7 miles, it was drizzling, and it drizzled, and it drizzled, and it drizzled. And finally, the streets were wet. So as you moved, you see the water flying up. So eventually, at about, I don't know, right around 15 miles, Paul said, you know what? We could get caught in a real storm. Let's go back. We were going to do 60. So we ended up doing around 30 something. And I swear to you, by the time we got back in Dallas, the streets were dry and it hasn't rained all day. We aborted for no good reason, but we were anxious. I'm watching TV in the back of the door. All right, so Ricky put up 2.5 pieces of plasterboard. I had to help him a little bit, and then he's going to paint it tomorrow. He's just like, he's on it. I mean, he just does stuff because he knows how, and he likes things to look right. So there you go. I'm the recipient of his obsessiveness. So if he wants to go to Ross, let him go to Ross. Meantime, we're here. Law and Disorder, Ken Goldberg, your host, 6:07 p.m. Let's do this. All right. So as always, you're wondering, but now not so much, selection of music. He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother by the Hollies. Great song. And I've been told it was based on the Boys Town. I remember the movie Boys Town. I'm sure you all saw it. Boys Town with Spencer Tracy and Mickey Rooney. Mickey Rooney was a kid in it, and Father Flanagan, played by Spencer Tracy, the founding of Boys Town. And at some point, Father Flanagan continues to work to build up this boys' home for boys that have no place to go. And anyway, somewhere in the movie, this kid shows up and he's carrying this smaller boy, and isn't he heavy carrying this little boy? And he says, he ain't heavy, he's my brother. So cool song, right? Avicii, I don't know if that's how you pronounce the name. Hey brother, good lyrics. Check it out. If you were drowning, I'd give you my lung. It's very cool. That may be Codaline. I don't know. They're all good songs. And then the Righteous Brothers had nothing to do. There was no theme about singing a song about brother, but it was by the Righteous Brothers. So you get the continuum. That's why you now know how we got that done. Okay? Because I just thought, well, let's throw the Righteous Brothers in there for no good reason other than brothers. Ricky is my little brother from the Big Brothers of Chicago. He was 8 years old when we were matched. He's 48 now. That's 40 years we've been together. All right. Rachel, I'll ask him if he wants to go. I'll tell him to rush right over. All right. So, and he's here till Wednesday, and then he goes back, and then he's coming down in July to help me get to my tribal gathering on July 24th. And then he's going to try to come again in August to get me up to Chicago for another gathering family at the end of August. Hopefully Ricky can do that. Fly down, drive up with me, help me drive back, because I'm getting old. I don't appreciate driving 1,000 miles in one day anymore. All right. Hi, Becky and Chris. I hope Chris is with you. If he's not, tell him I said hi. Chris says hi. Okay. So, well, I'm sorry you're late. And not because I tell you personally, but I think I did my best work already in the first 8 minutes. I think I was smoking. I introduced Ricky, who's now gone. But he was here at the beginning of the show. I explained the music and some other things. But you know what? Because you and Chris got here late, and I know you mean well, you're loyal listeners of my podcast. Because of that, I'm going to put on a good show. Okay? Still, it's not behind me, it's in front of me. So let me tell you what's on my mind because I'm really bothered. I can't believe how many crazy shootings there are. I don't understand. I posted one about a road rage, posted on Facebook earlier, and I got a footnote to this. I posted earlier and said, seems to be all the rage to have a gun. I should get more guns because clearly that's the direction society's moving in. Now that's what we call sarcasm or satire, right? So I posted that. Some of you read it, some of you didn't. Doesn't matter. You really didn't think much of it, except you lamented to see that this 6-year-old kid riding in the back of his mother's car got shot in the back by somebody who was shooting at the car on the highway during a road rage, obviously road rage. And you thought to yourself, that's just sick. And I thought that too. And I'm tired of the carnage, right? So I said, I'm going to have to get more guns. I got to get with the program. And this guy in Chicago who likes to challenge me on the gun issue, there's several people in Chicago that have tried. He jumps in with, yeah, that's the solution, more guns. And if I didn't know him, I wouldn't know if he was being sarcastic. But I know what he's like challenging me, like, you're so stupid kind of thing. And it's this guy. I knew him when I was a teenager, haven't seen him since. And it's like, so I said, yeah, I'm glad you got with the program. In other words, I'm glad you see it. In other words, instead of saying this was just sarcasm, I'm just like playing into his worst. And I'm going to tell you what he did that really kind of pissed me off and let me know where he's at, right? I posted my taser. When I bought my taser, I posted and I said, here is non-lethal use of force. I'm going to try to carry this more often. A taser, a consumer taser. It's not as big as a police taser. They're not cheap, and it is non-lethal force. And he goes, oh, did you get that you got that so you can electrocute some poor black boy? And he's black. And I'm like, yep, that's why I got it. I'm looking forward to electrocuting my first black boy. I mean, if you say shit like that, you got to expect some pushback. And the pushback would be, go screw yourself. So that's the 6-year-old. And then Debbie just posted another story that I had posted earlier, a 3-year-old boy that found a gun in a couch between the cushions and fired it and shot his sister. It just keeps piling up. And while I'm not going to disarm, I am very cautious about the way I store and or carry firearms. And unfortunately, there is no mandate, there is no restriction how you store it, except for this one caveat. The only caveat that I know of in every state is it cannot be accessible to a minor. If a minor can access your firearm, that's a crime. It's a misdemeanor. So whenever a kid lands up finding a firearm under a pillow, on a shelf, whatever, and shoots somebody, it's always going to charge the gun owner, because the gun owner was under a legal mandate to not store the pistol where it could be found. It doesn't have to be a pistol, by the way. So there are those cases. There's the cases of crazy people. There's the cases of angry people. And everybody seems to be able to get a gun. There's a guy with an AR-15 the other day, clearly a little nuts, shot up his neighbor's house, shot up a couple of neighbors' houses, shot some people, killed them, and had no real reason to do it. I mean, just crazy. That's all. He had an AR-15. Just crazy people shooting crazy type of guns. Velvet's up there. You just saw her go up. She's chilling like a villain because she likes the podcast. She's here every night. So, um, so what I wanted to talk about is, the news. It's just like, we tried during the pandemic to find the good stuff. We did. We as a community, as a group, we sometimes talked about, and Trump was like this dark cloud that hung over the news. It hung over our society. It hung over our country. It hung over us individually. And then he lost the election. And we breathed a short sigh of relief. And now we see several things going on that are troubling. The fact that even today in Arizona, Matt Gaetz, who we hope will be in prison soon, and probably Marjorie Greene Taylor, I think it was, appeared at this Republican deal and said, we're going to stop the steal. Here it is, months later, they can't stop the steal. They're doing everything they can, spending millions of dollars to try to put Trump back in office after he's already lost by a significant number. They're never going to undo 7 million votes, and they're not going to undo the votes in the other states. If they do, it will be a sham and a scam. But they're playing it. And so we being the general citizenry of the United States, must live with this overt effort of voter suppression in Georgia, in Texas, in Florida. Everywhere you look, there are states that are trying to pass voter suppression laws. At the same time, Texas passed the law, and I haven't read it, so I'm just going to give you what the headline said. It's that, if you abort your child after somebody rapes you, you will face a lengthier prison term than the rapist would face for raping you. Isn't that amazing? I don't know yet the specifics of this bill, but it passed. The governor signed it. It'll lose in the Supreme Court. Doesn't matter. It's a movement to try to get the Supreme Court to overthrow Roe v. Wade. So what happened is, once they were able to get enough conservatives who are hostile to Roe v. Wade, to abortion on the court, states, Republican-run states, keep creating laws that they know will be challenged. And what they're hoping is, as the challenges go up the ladder, and they know they will, they know eventually reach the Supreme Court, they're hoping that this Supreme Court will overrule Roe v. Wade, which was the one that said that there is a right to abortion that the government can only infringe up to a certain extent. It's amazing as we sit and look across the political landscape that, as people keep pointing out, there's these white male idiots who are constantly scheming and implementing new limitations, restrictions, and regulations on a woman's right to choose. I don't particularly, like most of you, I don't believe in abortion per se. I believe in a woman's right to choose how she proceeds with her health care. If she were to ask me what I thought of abortion, I would say I don't have an opinion on abortion other than, if you think that that's something you need to do, then you should do that, and I support that decision. If you decide not to because you want the kid or you just don't believe in abortion, whatever it is, I'm cool with that too. In other words, I'm not advocating abortion for anybody. I'm not advocating having the kid for anybody. I'm advocating that a woman, this is something that I believe she needs to evaluate, take under serious consideration, and after much deliberation, she make a decision, and that's her decision. And why do white male politicians all over the United States have so much say-so in it? Because the Republicans believe, rightly or wrongly, probably rightly, that the Christian right, Baptists, Catholics, and stuff, are very invested in overthrowing Roe v. Wade and killing off abortion. Excuse me for the unintended pun. And so they cater to, they are obsequious in their pursuit of votes from this contingency. Trump was the greatest example in the 21st century of a lapdog for the right. In other words, we know that Donald Trump never cared about abortion. If he was asked about it, he didn't have a problem with it until he became president and he found out he'd been elected by a good portion of evangelicals who believed that he would suppress abortion, and so he did. He did what he thought his base wanted. He didn't do it because he gave a shit. Everybody you talk to who knows Donald Trump will tell you abortion was never on his planet. He just didn't give it a thought. It was of no concern to him. He didn't have a dog in that fight until it would get him votes. So when you pander to a segment of the population, now that's different than representing a portion of the population. So when you're elected and you're an elected official, you have a mandate. You've been elected by a constituency. Your mandate is to know your constituency, very specifically those that elected you. Secondly, you have a mandate to know the constituency that in the more global realm, that is all who are able to vote for you or against you. So, if I'm elected from, the southern part of Georgia, I clearly have a mandate to know who the people are that believed in me and voted for me in southern Georgia. Then I have to know who else lives in southern Georgia because I have to represent them even though they didn't vote for me. And then I have to try to balance that with my own conscience, which I supposedly put out there during the election. Pandering is simply to identify those people you think will vote for you, have voted for you, will vote for you, if you create an issue that you think they will rally around, whether you really are emotionally and involved in that issue. Pandering, you create the issue, or you grasp an issue that's already out there, that's already a hot issue that you think you can harness for your political gain. That's pandering. To address your constituents' concerns, let's say you're from the southern Georgia and overwhelmingly your constituency is anti-abortion, pro-life. Then I believe that you have been elected. If you said you agree with them, then you do have an obligation and a mandate to go into your legislative branch and do what you can to represent your constituency. But I don't think that means that you have to oppress and suppress people who don't agree with you. Now, both the left and the right are really good at trying to shut up each other. It's been kind of sickening to watch students and left-wingers like myself, but not me, who are getting mad at colleges for inviting speakers that are right-wing, that are jerks, that are Nazis and collaborators with the Nazis. I don't relish that they're given a chance to talk. I'd prefer that they not be given an opportunity or a venue or a soapbox to talk, but I also don't believe that I'm supposed to suppress them because they're expressing a view I find more than distasteful. I abhor what they're saying, right? The ACLU back in the 70s fought for the right of the Nazis to march in Skokie, which was overwhelmingly Jewish. And people were really mad. The ACLU lost millions of dollars in monies from Jewish members. I understood, even at that young age, that they were doing something that was consistent with their program, or whatever you say, consistent with their ideals, that they would protect people who were practicing free speech, even though they themselves didn't like the speech. Jerry Spence, my mentor from Jackson, Wyoming, represented Randy Weaver, a survivalist and a white supremacist, against the charges of murdering a federal marshal. And he will tell you, he didn't have any sympathy for Randy Weaver's political ideas. He thought he was off the wall, but he believed in his right to be represented and protected, especially given that he shot that federal marshal after being shot at. So, and Jerry successfully defended him. I spent plenty of time with Jerry, and I can tell you, Jerry didn't like the politics of Randy Weaver. And I've represented people I didn't like the politics of. I thought Dan Peevy was a Bubba. I thought Dan Peevy was a foul-mouthed, racist Bubba. And his partner, Gene Oliver, while he wasn't as much of a foul-mouthed, racist Bubba as Dan Peevy was, he was his dear friend. And I represented the two of them successfully in federal court against all types of allegations. But it didn't mean that I thought that Dan Peevy, who was on the school board and spoke disparagingly of Jews and blacks and Hispanics and gays, he was just a piece of crap guy on the school board. But he was entitled to representation, and he wasn't guilty of the crime they were charging him with. If he was guilty of a crime, they never found which crime to charge him with. So so today on Saturday, I'm like, these clouds that have been hanging over Dallas day in and day out, they kind of represent this political landscape that we're seeing now, that we're looking at, when we should have seen great amounts of sunshine because Biden was elected. I'm finding that people are manufacturing reasons not to like Biden. Ironically, I didn't like Biden as the candidate for the Democratic Party because has always been in the 43 years that he served in the Senate and the 8 years he served under Obama, he's always been kind of a right-wing, quasi-centrist, almost Republican guy. He was against abortion in his years in the Senate. He was supported the National Crime Act that we now lambast as being a grave error. He was no progressive, but he's a Democrat. He wasn't Trump. I voted for him. But I'm impressed. He's doing a good job. I think he's doing a good job of walking that tightrope in the middle. But all my Republican friends I talked to I got multiple labels for him, and they don't like him, even though he's done nothing to harm them. They've already, and I sometimes I think, well, is this what we did to Trump? Did we just label him with all kinds of labels that we never gave him a chance? No, we gave him a chance. The guy was a jerk. He was a jerk from pre-elected, when he was merely a candidate. And then when he was a candidate, everybody said, well, calm down. Not when he was candidate. When he was elected, everybody said, calm down. It's not uncommon for persons elected, I'll say men, because there's never been a female president, to rise to the occasion, to take on the authority of being the most powerful political leader in the world and wielding that power in a mature and diplomatic manner. Not 1 minute, not one freaking minute did he do anything of the sort. Trump just trampled in the garden, and his wife literally trampled in the White House garden, and Trump trampled your garden. Even if you're Republican and you didn't realize it, that's what he was doing. He was stamping around, and whatever flowers, whatever you had, he just trampled it. He trampled your rights. He trampled your notions of fairness. He trampled your allies, your historical allies, who England, Germany, France, Italy, Australia. These were our historical allies. He trampled our relationships with them. I mean, he was the global pandemic before there was a global pandemic. I have joined, Kathy. I have joined. Just off of the laws they're passing. I'm not sure what Kathy joined. Maybe she means she joined the podcast. Hi, Kathy. And then Rachel says, Trump never rose. Debbie says pro-choice, 100%. Thank you, Debbie, because I know you lean conservative. And Becky says, I have family members in that club that believe conspiracy theories about Biden and others just because they're Democrats. I know some very smart people who are swayed by this story. It's a story that Biden's a socialist, Biden's in the control of AOC and the progressive left-wing He's certainly listening to them. That's what he's supposed to do. But when you try to explain that to Republicans, they don't want to listen. But Trump can listen to evangelicals, right-wing, far-right evangelicals, and implement their ideology, and he's cool. Biden, who's trying to implement a centrist government with input from the progressive wing of the Democrats, is labeled as being a puppet for the communist. Okay. Yeah, I figured it out, Kathy. I'm sorry I was questioning, but welcome. Chris expressed a very low opinion of Trump just now. Yeah, I don't know. What I guess the point, not to bum out people on a Saturday night, is that for me to continue to podcast at this moment really meant that I had to dig into what was really bugging me, because I can't just meander down dialogue lane and create dialogue when I don't have something tangential to relate to. And today, between all the shootings that are going on and the crazy Republicans that are going on, that is a tangential element I can hook into. I can speak to. I do have an opinion. And it's important that we all stand up. So what's going on right now in Dallas is there's a guy running for office, Barry Warnicki or something. Warnick. Warnick. So this guy, he's running for the city council. His signs, and so he says, which will you choose? A decaying Dallas or a vibrant city? Decaying Dallas? I mean, this infrastructure, like every city I know, is in peril. I know that the policemen's union has bankrupted the city, okay? So he got the unanimously supported and endorsed by the Real Estate Council. What do I care? And the police union, right? So I'm just reading his literature. So he knocked on my door last week, and I said to him, without answering the door, I just called out to him and said, not interested in your fear mongering. And I found out subsequently, a friend of mine met him, thought he was very personable. And so we discussed it. And this friend of mine said, well, he's from Israel, he's Jewish, he's Orthodox, and he thinks that Trump helped Israel, and he's a Trump supporter. He's really a Republican. I said, I could tell that from his campaign literature. He keeps talking about public safety. And I left my garage door open overnight the other night for about the 5th time, and all my bicycles and my vehicles, my tools, everything was still there. Do that in Chicago? Ixnay, right? So I'm pretty cool. And we don't even live that far from a police station. So anyways, he's selling fear, and I ain't buying. And it's not surprising he's selling fear. And his sign for office, his candidacy sign, are on all the same lawns, exactly the same lawns that a year ago had on Trump signs, Trump 2020 signs, exactly the same houses. Not perchance he's catering to those people. And I hope he doesn't make it. I hope somebody else gets elected. It's a runoff, so it's him and one other woman. Anyways, and then John Wick is on tonight. Talk about guns. There's a man who practiced what we call the three gun competition. He practiced it. And he's one of the few movie stars who ever took his gun handling skills seriously, right? So Keanu Reeves has repeatedly gone out and trained in what we call the 3-gun: handgun, rifle, shotgun. He can handle all 3, and we have what you call transitioning. So you start out with your long gun. That's usually a rifle. when you've exhausted the ammunition, you may not be able to make a magazine change. So you let it drop through the strap, and you either engage with a shotgun, which is strapped to you, or you engage with a handgun. And it requires a lot of training to be smoothly transitioned from gun to gun. It also requires a lot of training to transition to a reload. If you watch him when he's doing the John Wick series, you'll see that he's constantly making magazine changes, smooth as silk. He's actually doing it correctly. I tell you that as somebody who knows. He's holding the firearm correctly. He is now, some of it's pure fantasy. I mean, he's, when he shoots under, like bing, 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 all that's fantasy. But what I'm telling you is that in the main, when Keanu Reeves is depicted with firearms, he is handling them for the most part correctly and precisely. And I admire that. And I've seen him in training films where he's out with a trainer doing the 3-gun transition. And, he's not in a movie at the time. He's just being filmed out on a range. And it's a wonder to watch. I have worked with movie sets. That's wrong. When I had DFW gun range, if there was a firearm in use in a movie being filmed in Dallas, there was a time from time the weapons person, the gun master. There's somebody on the set of any movie that's using guns who's responsible for maintaining the guns, carrying the guns. They typically have some licenses that a normal person wouldn't have, and they would often come to the range because they're shooters. And when Jean-Claude Van Damme was in town filming one of the Universal Soldier movies, I remember the weapons master came in, shot, and he's like, I'd like to bring Jean-Claude in here. He's using a gun. And then there's somebody else in the movie. I think she'd like to come over here. And I'm like, absolutely. Yeah, sure. You know what? If it really helps, you give me a heads up. I'll come in an hour early so they don't have to put up with the general population. That can be intimidating if you're not a shooter, right? They never showed up. Look at the movie Universal Soldier. Jean-Claude Van Damme knows no more about a firearm than he may know about playing poker. The guy knows nothing. He mishandles a gun. He doesn't really know martial arts. He's an acrobat who was taught martial art moves. It's that kind of thing. So he was taught a couple of moves with a gun he doesn't know. Steven Seagal knows how to use a gun. Steven Seagal, although I don't like him, he's kind of an idiot. He's a right-wing idiot. But if you watch him handle a gun, he knows how to hold the gun. He knows how to remove the magazine and replace it properly and to re-engage. He knows how to walk around with a gun. And neither he nor Keanu Reeves ever that I've seen, has used a 50 cal Desert Eagle in the movies. You'll see that all the time. You don't know what it is. It's called the Desert Eagle. It's the biggest handgun made, pretty much. And they use it all the time, and somebody pulls it out from under their jacket. Yeah, you're never pulling a Desert Eagle out from underneath your sport coat. It's too big. It's too powerful. It's absolutely not intended for use as a concealed weapon. Okay, but because it looks so awesome, they use it all the time. Keanu Reeves, Steven Seagal do not resort to that. They use actual, the right size firearms for the job, and they use them properly. Even when they're using a laser or a flashlight on their firearm, they know how to do it. You didn't know I was going there? You know why you didn't know I was going there? Because I didn't know I was going there. Chris says John Wick 3 is on tonight, and I've got John Wick on right now. John Wick 2. Maybe you can see it in, no, you can't see it in the, no, I thought you could see my television. What a strange guy I am. Anyways, I've got John Wick on. I'm not filming John Wick 2. I've seen it too many times. but I do have the record button on for John Wick 3. All right. But not real bullets. No, but if Keanu Reeves has to shoot real bullets, he would be able to do so competently. All right. He shoots real bullets when he's training, by the way. And Steven Seagal shoots real bullets when he's at the gun range. I hear the rain too, Becky. I actually built a gun similar to one that Steven Seagal had built for himself. He had a guy named Tussie, a gunsmith, famous gunsmith, build him a compact 45 with a Damascus steel slide. There's only there's a small number of handguns that were ever made with a Damascus steel slide. I had one of them. I bought this slide separately, Damascus steel, for those of you who know, that's just layered steel. And then I had a gun built around the slide. Ricky has that now. I let him have it. But it's a tremendous, beautiful firearm, custom, and so was Steven Seagal's. I don't like Steven Seagal. He's a right-wing moron, really. But he does know how to use a gun, and he does know how to have a gun built. All right. Blanks. Yes, blanks. All right. So let's get on with closing the show. I did what I could to open. I made a kind of, let's call it a promise to Becky about 30 minutes ago. And I said, Becky, you're here late, but I know you're loyal, friendly, cheerful, thrifty, brave, clean, and reverent. I didn't say all that. And I said, because you and Chris have been good fans of the show, loyal, we're not going to put the best part of this podcast behind us. We're going to move forward into the best part of the podcast. And I believe that not only did I undertake to do that, I believe I succeeded. I believe that these last 30 minutes were just amazing. Let me take a deep breath. Because it wasn't all that and a box of Cracker Jacks. But I just, I got enthusiastic there for a moment. Chris and Becky are acknowledging my effort, and I appreciate that. Satu, Satu, Satu. Thank you. And let's move into the final moments where we sign off by all participating in this thing we call meta. All right. Now, I don't know because I can't see you if you're going to actually do it, but I'm hoping you will. Okay. And, I don't remember, but maybe you guys remember. Typically, during a show, at some point, Mark makes a comment that indicates his presence. And usually his presence, and yes, he was here. He said Rocket. Okay. So Mark and Ann were here, and I just wanted to check and make sure it wasn't a hallucination. All right. Self-esteem is a high virtue. Okay, I'll go with that. All right. Hands together before your hearts. Bow your heads. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. It's as if we're praying, or in fact, you can make this a prayer. Think of this as a prayer, if you would. May I be happy, healthy, free from harm. May I be free from anger, anxiety, and fear. And may this path bring me closer to a life of comfort and peace. May my mother and father, wherever they may be, and all my living family members and all my friends be happy, healthy, and free from harm. May they too follow a path that leads them to a life of comfort and peace. To all the persons that I harbor any ill will towards, for whatever reason, whatever righteous indignation I may harbor in this moment, to those persons I send goodwill, that they may be happy, healthy, and free from harm. May they too be living their lives in comfort and peace. and to all living beings throughout the entire universe, not just on this planet, but everywhere, humans and non-humans. Be happy, be healthy, and free from all forms of suffering. Live your lives in safety, comfort, and peace. Satu, Satu, Satu. Hi, Radine. Bye, Rachel. Bye, Joan. Thank you, Joan. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Becky, Mark, and Ann. And I said Rachel and um, Kathy, Debbie. What a great bunch. What a great bunch. It's, Scott's probably gone, but I want to say that when one is finished podcasting to this community, one feels rewarded by your presence. Does that make any sense? Feeling rewarded by your presence. And I mean that totally and completely. Whatever happens the rest of this night, I have this 45 minutes of pleasure. Thank you. Thank you, both you guys. Thank you, Debbie.